Hello, I have to discuss with you about the question what do statistical tests really say? And this in 6 minutes. And it is impossible, and this is good news. First, statistical tests at the beginning, it is like a Shakespeare piece. With characters, the father, Carl Pearson, the son, Egon Pearson, the genius, Fisher, the mathematician, Neyman. And all these guys are working in the same place, and they all love each other. Of course, this is completely wrong. There were tension because of power, etc., etc. Timing at the beginning of the 20th century up to 2021 in Toulouse, because it seems that the question is still open. Audience, millions, tens of millions of students, teachers that try to learn how to do and interpret statistical tests. So, if we look at what proposed Fisher in 1922. First, he considered a hypothetical infinite population, and this is crucial. There is somewhere a hypothetical infinite population. Then what you have is a sample, it is a data set. And from this data set, you estimate the probability that a worse fit should be obtained from a random sample of the hypothetical infinite population. And this is the p-value. If the p-value is equal to 1%, then it is very unlikely that the sample come from a random sample of the hypothetical infinite population, and so you can say no with a certain risk, of course, or with a certain improbability, which is estimated by p. For Neyman and Pearson, in fact, in their paper, 6 years after, their proposition seems to be quite different. They are looking for rules to govern behavior. And you know that with Neyman and Pearson, indeed there are H0 and HA. The notation were different at that time. And you will have to accept one or the other. And doing that, you are likely to take two risks, type 1 and type 2. And their objective is to fix type 1 error and to minimize type 2 error. So apparently it seems very different from Fisher. But in fact it is a little bit close, because in both situations you estimate a p-value, and with Neyman and Pearson you compare the p-value to alpha. So for many people, after the beginning of the 20th century, they say, oh, this dispute between Neyman and Pearson and Fisher, this is only a matter of ego and not really something serious. I don't think so. I don't think so, and this on very practical grounds. Why? Because, you know, when we teach statistics, there is always the question of, is it possible to accept H0? For Fisher, he writes that, he is very clear, this is not possible to accept H0. While for Neyman and Pearson, indeed, if you have estimated the type 2 error, you can accept H0, the risk is equal to beta. Another point that is quite tricky when you teach is the question of one-sided versus two-sided test. And why it is tricky? Because for Fisher, you have seen that the test is basically rely on a goodness of fit tests, and goodness of fit tests are mainly relying on the two-sided formulation. While for Neyman and Pearson, you have H0 and HA, and according to the sign of HA, you will have one direction or the other direction in the decision, and so basically Neyman and Pearson tests are one-sided, while Fisher tests are two-sided. Third point, you know, and this is it often happens in the real life of experiments. If you have a p equal to 0.048 and p equal to 0.052, should the conclusion be really different? And most people will say, no, it is very close. And indeed, for Fisher, it is the case. While for Neyman and Pearson, no, because it is a behavior. And according to the position in comparison to 0.05, you will accept or reject H0. And so the two values will lead to very different conclusions. And indeed, Fisher and Neyman and Pearson acknowledge their difference, saying that Fisher was dealing with inductive inference, while Neyman and Pearson with inductive behavior. Okay, but what is induction? Philosophers do not totally agree with that. Basically, induction, it comes from the particular to the general, and in fact, it is a little bit true, especially in the way Fisher describes his test. From the sample, you go to a hypothetical infinite population, from the particular to the general being a hypothetical infinite population. But what is this hypothetical infinite population? It is very speculative, and this is the reason why you could say that statistical induction is not more than a fantasy, a useful fantasy, but a fantasy. And in particular, what don't say statistical tests, the truth, of course, while many people think that, and many people say that because we are guilty statisticians. You know, we encourage people to misuse statistical tests. Just look at statistical tests of normality. If you are, according to Neumann Pearson, because you want to accept H0, you should need to estimate a type 2 error that nobody do in reality. So people are using Fisher inference, but with Fisher inference, you cannot accept H0. And this is H0 that you want to show when you are testing normality. So testing normality shouldn't be done in practice. So, to conclude, how should we use statistical tests in medicine in particular, which is my job? What does they say in medicine? If you are doing public health, indeed, you can use the Neumann and Pearson perspective. And this is what does the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, and the European Drug Agency. In the research, more general research setting, you can see what said Fisher. This is very enlightening. This is very emotional. He says that we have the duty of formulating, of summarizing, and of communicating our conclusion in intelligibly form, in recognition of the right of other free minds to utilize them in making their own decision. And so for Fisher, you do test to communicate conclusion so that other people will be able to take their own decision. And this is what we should say when we teach statistical tests to students. Now for clinicians, this is likely to be the most tricky situation, you know, because you have in front of you a unique person and you have inference for what? In average. So this is quite impossible to say to a clinician how to deal with statistics with a unique person. The only way I have found is that if you live in a linear world, then the average effect of a treatment is equal to the effect on an average people. And so, in a linear world, clinicians are living like in the Minecraft video game, where human beings are with big pixels, big voxels. And these voxels correspond to the variable on which you condition the estimate of the efficacy of the drug. And so, physicians should be aware that when they are doing evidence-based medicine, which is absolutely crucial, they do not have anymore a real human being in front of them, but some kind of a body in the Minecraft video game. Thank you for your attention.